My name is Cristiane Bertoso. Is that okay? Welcome, dear friends. My name is Cristiane Bertoso, and I am a Spiritist educator at the Spiritist Society of Ireland in Dublin, Ireland. We would like to thank you everyone for your attendance today in this particular moment of study, sharing, and learning about Spiritist education. This is an event organized by the Childhood, Youth, and Family Commission of the International Spiritist Council to strengthen the union and unification of the Spiritist movement in favor of the regeneration of hearts for the new world building. The Childhood, Youth, and Family Commission, affectionately called AIJF-ISC, is responsible for promoting the study, practice, and dissemination of the Spiritism among children, youth, and families. The AIJF-ISC Commission is currently composed of 11 countries that have dedicated themselves to carrying out essential actions to the continuous strengthening of this blessed and relevant task in an integrated, collaborative, and collective manner. To achieve the objectives of Spiritism, it's essential to prepare ourselves with continuous learning activities. For this reason, one of the actions of AIJF ISC is the project called The Seeds of the Future. It's a continuum education of Spiritist educators through different actions such as virtual meetings and workshops. We understand that this project is strategic and relevant to increase the quality of the actions we develop with children, youth, and families, whether in face-to-face interactions in Spiritist institutions or in virtual environments such as those we currently experience due to the pandemic scenario. Recently, a workshop called Sewing Virtually was held focused on the knowledge and experience of virtual tools for the development of educational activities with children, youth, and families remotely, with the participation of 19 countries. And today, we will have our first live overcoming borders and uniting dedicated hearts across the different corners of the earth, strengthening us in their common ideal.
Thank you, Chris. Hello, everybody. My name is Karina. I'm talking from Italy, in Rome. I also collaborate with the Childhood, Youth, and Family Commission of the International Spiritist Council. So, as Chris was talking, this is the first virtual meeting of a program to address different and relevant topics to strengthen this task continuously. Today's topic is the importance of the Spiritist education for Earth's regeneration. Each life will be developed in 3 different languages, English, Spanish, and Portuguese, in sequence on the same day. We have invited some dedicated colleagues who will share their reflections and experiences according to the different topics. Furthermore, to open our meeting, we would like to invite you to pray along with us, raising our thoughts to God, Jesus, and the spiritual benefactors who coordinate and inspire the Era of Sowing Love project. So our special guest, Giovanna, she is a dedicated Spiritist educator at GEAK in Denmark, and she will conduct the initial prayer. Thank you, Giovanna, and welcome.
You're on mute. Okay.
You're still on mute. Trege? No, we can hear you. Chris, you're also on mute. So, can you do
Yeah, go.
the
Can you
okay.
hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you do the pray for us, Chris, please?
I can do if you want to.
I can do it too, no problem.
Okay, thank you, Chris.
No problem. But okay? Okay. Spiritual benefactors for our guide and lead us on the right path. Help us to overcome obstacles that may come to our path. Whenever we find ourselves in darkness and despair, lift and show us the light. Give us the courage and strength to continue carrying our mission with resignation and love. If we fall along the way, help us to get up and move on. Be with our brothers and sisters who are sick, with those who are feeling loneliness, depression, those with suicidal thoughts, hungry, and those without a shelter to call it home. Please enlighten our speakers today and everyone attending this event now, or we will watch it later. So be it. Amen.
Thank you, Chris.
Welcome.
Before Jussara starts the today's topic, we would like to show you two short videos in which some Spiritist educators are answering to the following question. What does the work of the children and youth Spiritist education mean to you? Let's check the comments of Angela Zago from the United States and Karina Porpino from Norway.
What does the work of children and youth Spiritist education means to me? I could summarize it and say that children and youth Spiritist education means the world to me. But it's greater than this expression, since it's an education for the eternal spirit. It's for me a lifesaver. If you're lost in the ocean, it can keep you from drowning. You still have to swim. You still have to do your part. But you're not going to drown. And it goes both ways. It saves the youth and it also saves the educator as well. It's to me like the sun, shining every single day. Even the rainy ones, it's there somewhere shining. It's the lighthouse in a dark night. It's the spotlight in a dark alley. It's the light you switch on in order to organize your dark and massive room, in order to see everything you need to organize. It is to me the food for the soul. It is as important to reincarnated spirits as food is for the bodies. It is the peaceful arms of a loving mother or father, where we find respite to fight another day.
Hello everyone, my name is Karini and I'm talking from Norway, and it's a pleasure to try to answer this important and challenging question about what it means for me, the work with children and youth Spiritist education. And I'm a Spiritist educator here in Norway. I'm also a mother of a 5-year-old girl, and I work as a researcher in child development and emotion development. So for me, childhood is it's an important step and phase in human development. And when I think about the Spiritist education, it means that we are looking to that seeds of the future. It's where we are treating the very origins of all the change that we can implement in our planet. But also, and very important, the work with children, it's also about the present moment. So when we have children in our Spiritist center and group, we are treating them as protagonists as their story. We are helping them to have access to their spiritual story, and we are giving them the opportunity to get to know more their own story and make better use of their free will. So we are both treating the seeds of the future, and we are helping them to blooming their spiritual potentialities right here and right now.
So I would like to introduce Jussara Korngold as our today's speaker. Jussara Korngold is recently the General Secretary of the International Spiritist Council, the United States Spiritist Federation President. She is the founder and president of the Spiritist Group of New York and the Spiritist Alliance for Books. Ms. Korngold is fluent in Portuguese, English, French, and Spanish. She is an international speaker and a published author and a translator. Ms. Korngold works from Brazil Child Health as its main executive. She is also an executive board member of the Grupo Mulheres do Brasil in New York.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon. We are talking about so many different countries. What a beautiful thing for us to think that we are here gathering together today and having representatives of so many different countries, and all with the same aim in their hearts, which is to start working and helping for the future generation. That means, a better world for each and everyone, and even from ourselves, because we will be back on this planet, hopefully, and be able to continue our work here, our journey towards perfection. So, on behalf of the International Spiritist Council, we are very thankful for this opportunity. We are, like our friend said before, is starting a series of talks referent to the project Seeds of the Future, to provide support for Spiritist educators all over the world. I would like to thank the amazing team of volunteers that we have all over the world that have been dedicating themselves to the task of Spiritist education of our children and youth. And in particular, also to thank all the volunteers, the team of Spiritist educators for the children, youth, and family area of the International Spiritist Council, and more in particular, their coordinator, that is Silvana Elia. Also, I want to thank Susana Aceredo from Uruguay, that is going to be speaking after me, doing this presentation in Spanish. She was of a great help in guiding me in our presentation today. So the topic that we are going to be developing, and that we just heard Sandra Borba talk about it in Portuguese. Now I'm going to be doing that in English, and after Susana in Spanish, is about the importance of the Spiritist education of children and youth for the regeneration of the earth. We clearly see that our planet is changing. It is transitioning from a world of trials and atonements to a world of regeneration. For quite some time, the benefactors have been talking to us about that, have been alerting us to prepare ourselves, to prepare the generation. And we have, especially in the book Genesis by Allan Kardec, that was published in 1868, chapter 18, Kardec talks to us about the time has come, signs of the times and the new generation. And I think that at this point in time, we can all agree that we are actually living what we can see and what we can read in the book Genesis by Kardec. One of the, we are just going to highlight a few of, it's a long chapter, but a few of the things that can help us develop our line of reasoning today about the importance of the Spiritist education, when it starts by saying that a new order of things is on the verge of being established, and that rid of the dregs of the old world and compose it from more purified members, the future generation will find itself animated by different ideas and sentiments that the present generation, which is disappearing by leaps and bounds. And the old world will be dead and will live in history. Sometimes when we read about it, we say, oh my God, this is too drastic. But when we think about, our earth, let's say 500 years ago, 800 years ago, it's such a different world. So we see here that the spirits are even inviting us to observe, our own history, what we have been conquering throughout times. And it's only natural that the more we progress, the more we will see the difference in terms of the generation, in terms of the moral aspect of its inhabitants. So it continues by saying that having reached adulthood, humankind will have new needs and greater and higher aspirations. It is at one of these periods of transformation, or if you prefer, moral growth, that humankind has arrived at. It's amazing when we look at today's scenery, and of course we can not overlook the fact that we are living in a pandemic, but even then, the uneasiness that we find in the majority of people that are living nowadays. We are all looking for answers. We are all looking to try to understand to something else, to something more than we have. And more than ever, we are being capable of observing the importance of spiritual, emotional balance. And this is what we want to provide to our children, to be sure that they will be capable to face hard times and to face whatever situation we have to face, because they will have within themselves a basis, a well-established basis that is going to propitiate to them being capable of overcoming whatever it will become in their ways. So the new generation, when we see that on the book Genesis, it says that once such a time has come, and the spirits are telling us that we are actually living this time, there will be a great emigration from among those who inhabit the earth. Those that practice evil for evil's sakes will be banished from the planet, because their stay would cause more trouble and confusion and would be an obstacle to progress. The current generation will disappear gradually, and the new one will follow it in the same way, without there having been any change in the natural order of things. So here we are not talking about something that is going to happen overnight. We are not talking about a miraculous, so to say, appearance of, different generations of spirits. We are talking about, the regular process of reincarnation, discarnation, and each time more, with renewal on the, let's say, the moral essence of the spirits that will be coming back, that will be find more attunement, so to say, with the scenery that planet Earth has to start for the present and for the future. Of course, when we talk about planet and planet evolvement, we are always talking about, the generation, the people, the human beings that live on the planet. So we will see a planet of regeneration when we, the ones that live in this planet, will present the market characteristics of this planet, which is, this transition that we will no longer be satisfied with, the lifestyle that we have right now, with the way of thinking that we have right now. We will be looking for more meaningful relationships, for more meaningful values. And this is why it's pivotal for us at this moment to be thinking about that, not only in terms of our own education, because while we are here breathing on this earth, we are learning, we are experiencing things, and we are having the opportunity to grow and to progress. But we also have to think about this, future generation, the generation of children and teenagers that we have today, and all those that are dedicated in this sense to the Spiritist education. So what could we say about parenting in the new era? For instance, the responsibilities of the Spiritist parents
Hi, Jussara. Maybe we cannot hear you. Maybe you have some problems with the audio. Jussara, can you hear us? Okay, so we will go on while Jussara is trying to turn back. We will move on with her presentation. So our responsibility, I will ask to put the PowerPoint again. I'm sorry. Hello, guys. Well, Marcial, we cannot hear you.
Because the PowerPoint is on Jussara's.
Jussara's, okay.
We'll have to wait a little bit for the presentation to come back again. She's connecting now.
Okay, great.
Hello. Okay.
Now we hear you.
Okay. So sorry about that. I've been having problem with my internet all the week, and it's been really difficult. So we will not have our slides, but that's not a problem. We will continue with our presentation as before. So what we have to think about now is in terms of, as parents, how are we prepared for the third and fourth generation of spiritists? So it's very important for us at this moment to be thinking about the situation and how can we prepare ourselves, because whether we like it or not, even as adults, we are constantly learning from the world that surrounds us. And we are constantly going through, these experiences and observing the behaviors that are happening around us. And the children, they are doing that constantly. They are all the time looking at what the adults are doing and what kind of moral education, in terms of the examples of what we are living now, we are giving to our children. So many times we see parents, their children come and the children coming and asking for the parents, to play with them, to be with them, to help them in their chores. And the parents are constantly saying, oh, I'm sorry, I don't have time. I'm sorry, I don't have time. And what happens when we reach, a stage of, elderly stage, that we will be the ones that will request the assistance of our children? Probably we are going to be hearing the same thing. They will tell us, not now, Dad, not now, Mom, I don't have time for you, because we didn't have time to them when they were young. The thing is, also today, when we are thinking about children education, we have to remember that they are very, very prone to receive external and opposed information through the internet, through all the means that we have through social media. But it's the family values that are going to prevail, and those are the ones that parents have the responsibility of stressing with their children. Many times some parents think, I'm already sending my children to school and I hope they will have a very good education in the school. Sometimes they even complain about how much money they pay, whether they pay or not, but they complain as if the obligation of educating their children would be the obligation of 30 parts and not of themselves. So we have to be very careful about thinking in terms of the education we are going to provide. Even in terms of the Spiritist education, we see quite often parents going to the Spiritist center or Spiritist groups, and they know how good and how important it is for them, but they don't make an effort to take their children. And sometimes when the children reach a certain point in time, they will even say, oh, now it is going to be up to them. They are going to be the ones that are going to be deciding what kind of spiritual guidance they want for their lives. And this is not something that we should be doing with our children. And we have to understand that everyone that surrounds our children, they are responsible for that being and what that being is going to become in the future. So we are talking parents, we are talking educators, we are talking friends, we are talking family members, and we are talking about all these external values that we have. Kardec was brilliant when, and he talks about that in the Spirit's book, when he mentions about the importance of educating versus instructing. Sometimes we are very much worried about what kind of instruction we are going to give to our children, and even when we are going to be choosing schools, etc. And Kardec makes a point that it is through education, more than through instruction, that humanity will be transformed. So instruction in this sense, in the sense that Kardec is explaining to us, is more like to pass on information, while education is to develop the potentialities of the spirit, not only through the acquisition of knowledge, but especially in the formation and the consolidation of the character of these children. So he talks about the moral education that consists not necessarily in the education that we learn in the books, but in the one that are going to help to form characters, to form the a person of good that we want so much to see in our children. So this is how we have to be very worried about the education and examples and what we are doing, and thinking that the children are absorbing our behaviors. At the same time, one thing that is very important for us to think about is that we understand as spiritists that we all had the same kind of beginning. We all started as simple and ignorant spirits, and throughout time, throughout the incarnations, the reincarnations that we had, we are acquiring and piling up, so to say, this knowledge, this understanding, virtues, but we still bring our imperfections. So we are not exactly the same. And so in terms of education, and when Kardec stresses about education, he's also telling us, that this kind of education that we try to put everyone at the same level using the same methodology, perhaps they are not going to be very effective when thinking about educating our children. And this is one point that we, in terms of the Spiritist education, are each time more paying attention to, understanding that each of the little souls, of the little spirits that come to us, they have a different experience, they have a different understanding, and they have different possibilities. So we will deal with them in a fraternal atmosphere, bringing love and understanding all their possibilities and their levels, their different levels. So more than just trying, to impose a set of knowledge and to say, this is the way it is, this is the way it has always been taught to everyone. We will teach them more how to think than necessarily what to think. Many times we want to give them our values, the values that we have today, but they are already, some of them, because they are the new generation, they are the new spirits that are reincarnating. They may bring more possibilities than we have, in the same way that when we return, definitely we will be much better, or hopefully we will be better than we are today. We will be reincarnating a new model with more possibilities, hopefully more virtues that we have acquired actually in this incarnation. So we have to think that we have to give them the tools for them to use their capabilities, and in this way to reason for themselves. The Spirit Emmanuel, in the book Consolador, the Consoler, he says the following: the childhood is the most serious period and most conducive to the assimilation of educational principles. During this period, children are more likely to renew their character and establish a new path. And in the book Religion of Spirits, in a message that is called Forgetfulness and Reincarnation, Emmanuel says something very, very interesting. He says that the child is much more permeable to all new concepts. and he says that we have to take advantage of this phase because for about 3,000 days, it's more or less 7 years, the child is going to be going under a period of therapeutic hypnosis where the child is basic asleep and does not remember the past. So all this time is occupying, we should occupy ourselves these 3,000 days in providing the children with new concepts about themselves, because when the spirit resurfaces during the teenager years, it will have a more solid basis and it will be more capable of marching towards regeneration and involvement, which is very, very important. But in terms of spiritual education, what is good for us is good also for our children. And we always have to think about it. Like we said before, many times we say, oh, okay, I need the spiritual treatment. I need, I'm an adult. I need all this knowledge. But my children is okay. I don't need to take, them to the Spiritist center or to the Spiritist education classes. And this is where we are very wrong, because like we were saying, especially Kardec says something to us that is very important for us to meditate, to think about it. He says, be conscious that spirits reincarnated in a Spiritist home mainly need the orientation that Spiritism can offer. Otherwise, we would have to admit that we return to Earth without prior planning, navigating through life without direction, and nor a compass, nor resources to do over the past and move forward to the future in a steady and sure pace. What is he's telling us here? That if we have a child that is born in a Spiritist home, it is because this child truly needs the Spiritist values, the spiritual values. It's like, when we think about the illness is next to the medicine. So spirits, they are longing to be able to change themselves, to start in a new path, to break with their old self, and need a period of respite. They will be blessed to come to houses, to parents, to a family that can provide them with these moral values, with the spiritual values. And we should never neglect that. So to help bring the moral teachings, the lessons of Jesus to them is the best thing that we can give to our children, to educate them in a way that they will be capable of dealing with whatever life will bring to them, whatever, the needs they will have, the experiences they will have to face according to their planning, to their reincarnation. And the Spiritism can provide our children with that. And the understanding that they are immortal spirits. The spirit, Amelia Rodriguez, says the following, that the task of education is of relevance, while that of Spiritist education is the urgent savior. So she's saying that is the one that is going to save their lives. In a passage of this book that is called Emergence Therapeutics by Amelia Rodriguez, she says the following: a child is field waiting for sowing. The young man is fertilized field. The adult is harvest in production, and the quality of the seed we have determines the harvest. So here, when we are talking about the seeds of the future, we are talking about that. Okay, we do understand that we live in a material world, but we are not only matter. We have to bring this understanding to our children and teenagers that we are much more than just what our physical eyes can see and can observe, that we are immortal spirits and that we are here to live this material experience, but with the purpose of growing spiritually speaking. So the Spiritist education is this action that leads our children to those opportunities. And at this moment, it's very important for us to talk about the Spiritist educators as well. Those so valuable volunteers that have understood, maybe because of their own experiences, having had the opportunity of getting to know Spiritism at an early age, or maybe because they missed that and they realize how important it is, because they have been called to perform their actions in this direction. They are to be blessed, I think, and that's why when watching before the presentation that we had in Portuguese and looking at our presentation now and knowing about, the one that is going to be in Spanish following us, we feel such emotion because we are seeing that this is happening in so many countries and there are so many people dedicating themselves to that because they understand that according to the words of Jesus, know the truth and the truth will set you free. This is what we have to do. And remember that when we talk about knowing the truth, it's the truth about ourselves. And this is what we have to bring to our children to say, listen, you have to pay attention to the importance that you have to the world. You were born with a task, with a mission. And definitely this mission for all of us without exception is to better ourselves. And in the process, to help better the world as well. Kardec, when he studied with Pestalozzi, Johann Pestalozzi, he had a way of saying and showing that children, and he said that children need to learn three things. That is Pestalozzi saying, to think, to feel, and to act. What would be to think? So, starting from this liberation, starting from this opportunity of knowing themselves to know and understand the truth that rules the universe. When they start grasping this knowledge, this understanding, when they are led to think in the way that Kardec invites us all to use our reason, at all points, we are not going to accept things just for the sake of accepting, but we have to reason. And that's why when we talk about education, to teach our children how to think instead of what to think is the methodology that Pestalozzi used, is the methodology that Kardec tried to teach us in saying, use reason, the reasoned faith. So here, even if we are talking about spiritual values, spiritual beliefs, we are saying you have to think for yourself. And this is how Spiritism is going to empower our children and teenager to inviting them to use their ability to reason, to think, to develop for themselves. And when they do that, the more they do that, the more they observe, the more they start to equate things, putting one thing next to the other and trying to compare things, the more they will also be developing within themselves the ability of having feelings or true feelings of happiness, harmonious feelings, or feelings towards a compassion towards their brothers and sisters. So it starts to bringing them the attention to the point that we understand that we are all children of the same God, and that therefore we are all brothers and sisters. And now, because of the understanding, because of the thinking, they will be able to look at their peers, at their colleagues, at their friends, and say, you are like me. You are here doing the same thing that I am. But now it comes to the point that is the hardest one for all of us. Sometimes we are already capable of reason. We are already capable of, start feeling some, more noble emotions. But when it comes to act, when it comes to apply all that in our day-to-day lives, is where it's more difficult. So that's why Pestalozzi says, it's the three principles: think, feel, and act. And so with the Spiritist education, the work of the Spiritist educators, the knowledge, the understanding that we have through this spiritual values as Spiritists, will open our minds, will open their minds of our children and our teenagers, and therefore they are going to be capable of leading a better life, because this is the reason why they came here. So the Spiritist educator has a very important, plays a very important part in all of this. Even if we are talking about just a once a week, but we are talking about quality, we're not talking about quantity. We're about talking about quality. So bringing our children to the Spiritist education, where they will be learning, to work with their minds, with their hearts, with their hands, which means to think, to feel, and to act, is the most important gift that we could give to our children. And for the Spiritist educators, it's always important for them to think that they're more than transmitting just knowledge, like Kardec says, their own experience, what they have in their hearts, will speak louder in the hearts of the children and teenagers. They are with them at this point as well. The area of children, youth, and family that we have today in the International Spiritist Council has been developing a lot of materials. It develops brochures about the children, youth, and family area. It's explaining what is a Spiritist education, how to implement a Spiritist education in a Spiritist institution, talking about being a child, being a family, being an adolescent, and all of that we can have in different languages at the website of the International Spiritist Council, that we invite all of you to go through that. And before we go to the end of our presentation, we would like to use also this moment once more to demonstrate our gratitude to all the Spiritist educators in the world. I'm going to be giving you a personal account. I am the result of a Spiritist education. I was blessed to be taken to the Spiritist Center when I was very young. And publicly, I would like to, at this moment, to thank with all my heart my mother, who took me to the Spiritist Center for the first time and continued taking me throughout my, childhood and teenager years. And then when I became more adult, I was the one taking her. She became very ill, and I was the one taking her and helping her, providing to her while I could. Now she's back to the spirit world, but I can feel her presence next to me. And so everything that I can do today, that I am today, it is because of her sacrifice and because of the sacrifice of all the Spiritist educations, all the Spiritist centers, that I was able to go and to receive this knowledge that has been the light in my life ever since I stepped there for the first time. And how can I not think about that and about the importance of all this being myself the result of a Spiritist education? Thinking about, how life happens and that we have to go through, wonderful moments, but some of them very difficult ones, that without this moral compass, this moral structure, and the spiritual direction, it would be very difficult for us to cope with. So it is for this reason that when we talk about Spiritist education, it comes from my heart, because I have the opportunity to experience that. I had the opportunity of working with children and youth for quite some time as well. Today, I work in different areas of the Spiritist Center, but I cannot imagine what my life would be if I didn't have this light in my life. So because of that, because of everything that I see, not only from my experience, but from the experience of so many that I have seen that have lived similar stories like the one I lived, is that we invite you all to think about it and to put an effort to help constructing this new world, this new generation. And like Kardec said, the time has arrived. The time is now. We have no more time to waste, and we have to continue in this process of growing, in this process of helping our brothers and sisters, and especially of helping these children of today that came with the mission of bringing to light a new world, a better world, a world that we all are going to be invited to return if we do what we have to do today. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for your efforts. And may you all feel inspired and guided in continuing this blessed work. And now we have all the technology in our favor, and we can bring that, all of that, to each and every home. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jussara.
Thank you, Jussara. Thank you, Jussara, for amazing speech. Thank you. So I would like to say thank you for this opportunity. Thank you to be part of this group. And in the name of the Childhood, Youth and Family Commission, we want to say thank you for your presence. And we hope that this and the upcoming events will help you develop the Spiritist childhood, youth, and family in the community and in the country you live in. We'll see you next time. Thank you.
And so we will do our final prayer.
Final prayer, please, Jussara. Sorry.
No, that's fine. We said that I was going to do that before, but yeah, so we invite everyone to join us and use this opportunity to show our gratitude for everything that we have been receiving, for the possibility of being born surrounded by so much love and light that the Spiritist doctrine can provide to us. We thank our Heavenly Creator for all these blessings, our brother Jesus, and particularly all the spirits that have been giving themselves to the task, the mission of educating us still rebel spirits so that we can start making our journey back to God like the prodigal son. May we all feel blessed in our homes and feel hope in our hearts, knowing that Jesus is with us and that the good spirits will bring us comfort and assistance for these difficult times that we, as a whole, have been experiencing in our planet. And with gratitude, once more, we ask for the blessings of our Heavenly Creator. So be it.
Thank you again, Jussara.
Thank you again.